Harry grows tomatoes. This year he puts his tomato plants into groups A and B. Harry gave fertilizer to tomato plants in group A. He did not give fertilizer to the plants in group B. Harry weighed 60 tomatoes from group A, and the cumulative frequency graph below shows some information about these weights. Here we have it. The first question that we have is to use the graph to find an estimate for the median weight. Now the median weight is the middle weight, and that's the middle weight when everything is in order. Now we know that he weighed 60 tomatoes. So the middle tomato is going to be tomato number 30. So I find tomato number 30, I read across to my graph, and then when I get across to my graph I then read down to my axis, and I read off the result. So I think this is going to be 170 grams. For the next part I need to start filling in some box plots. So I'm told that there are 60 tomatoes in group A, the minimum weight was 153 and the maximum weight was 186. We're to use this information and the cumulative frequency graph to draw a box plot. Right, so we can mark on the stuff that we know. So we know that the minimum is 153. So here we have 153. I can mark on the maximum at 186. So here are 186. From my previous question, I know that the median, the middle number, was 170. There are two other values I need, and they are the upper quartile and the lower quartile. So let's go back to our graph and find the upper and lower quartiles. Now they are going to be a quarter of the way through our data and 3/4 of the way through our data. Now a quarter of the way through our data is at 15. So again I read across to my graph and then down, and my answer here appears to be 165. So the lower quartile, 165. For my upper quartile at 45, I read across to my graph and then down, and this appears to be at 175. You will be allowed some leniency in terms of how accurate you are here, probably 1 or 2 grams either way. Okay, now let's add that information to our box plot. So 165 for the lower quartile, 165 for the lower quartile, and 175 for the upper quartile. And at this point I have my box plot complete, so I can join up, and I am finished. For the last part of this question I need to make a comparison between two box plots. Whenever I make a comparison there are always two things that I'm going to do. Number one, I'm going to compare the means. Okay, so I can see that the mean here is 160. The median here, sorry, is 162. The median here is 170. So I can say that the median for group A was higher. There's my first comparison. My second comparison is going to come from the size of my box. Now this is called the interquartile range. It's the difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile. And I can see that the interquartile range was smaller for group B, because that box is smaller in length than this one here. So I'm going to say that the interquartile range was smaller for group B. 2 comparisons for 2 marks.